Now, as someone who's watched and currently still watches countless Batman shows, you begin to realize after some time that Batman just might be crazy. And as a Batman glazer, it hurts to say this, I can't lie. Further, let's talk about the actual idea of a Batman. So Batman operates outside the law, taking the law into his own hands and fighting crime without official authority, using methods that sometimes can borderline be considered excessive violence, and often works alone. Now, despite the fact that he may be helping Gotham City, if you were to just hear all those facts about someone and you didn't know he was Batman, you'd immediately assume he's someone that should be in Arkham Asylum or someone who's just mentally deranged, but in fact is the hero of Gotham City. Now, I believe Batman kind of encompasses the idea of fighting fire with fire, as someone who's mentally deranged like Batman fighting other mentally deranged people kind of helps the city almost balance itself out. Now, realistically, fighting fire with fire is going to cause more damage to the surrounding area, which I believe is the same principle with Batman versus villains, as most people who live in Gotham can tell you that his decade-long war with the same 5 to 10 villains is causing nothing but more problems for people. Next up, we have to really think about and evaluate how crazy the idea of a Robin really is. So when Bruce is looking for Robins, he's usually looking for kids who are dealing with rage, loss, and are probably homeless at the moment. And if you were to hear those qualifications, you'd immediately think they need to be somewhere else other than fighting crime. But for Bruce, I guess that gives them more of a reason too. And when we think about Bruce, he's someone who has to use violence and crime fighting as a way to relieve all the stress and mental trauma he's gone through since he was a kid. Now he's teaching other kids to do the same thing instead of learning how to talk about it and possibly heal themselves. And Bruce is the embodiment of repressing emotions, which is a bad habit that no kid should have to take into adulthood at all. Not to mention, being a Robin is probably the most dangerous sidekick job in all of DC. Jason Todd got murdered by the Joker, Tim Drake got traumatized into quitting it, and Damian Wade, his own biological son, was literally trained to become an assassin before becoming Robin. And imagine being 11 years old and Batman tells you have to fight someone like Killer Croc or Bane. Like, bro, I'm quitting on the spot immediately. But back to Batman, we have to talk about his mental state and how his endeavors kind of affect others in his life as well. See, Batman's obsession with crime fighting is pretty extreme, and his entire life revolves around the singular goal of him being able to get rid of all the villains in Gotham, which is basically never going to happen. And in order to attain the goal, he's willing to sacrifice basically everything that makes someone human, whether it's relationships, friendships, even family. Because of this, a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, tend to walk out on him, and he's kind of accustomed to it at this point. The worst part about it is that he kind of lies to himself with the Bruce Wayne persona that he's doing good, as even though he's a billionaire philanthropist, in his heart he really doesn't care about anything besides being able to be a hero to Gotham. And despite the many people who tend to try to give him some type of counseling, he always denies it and believes that he's perfectly fine, when in reality, and to everyone else's reality, he really isn't at all. And this emotional turmoil affects him physically as well, as he barely sleeps and he doesn't even allow himself to be happy, meaning he's completely abstract from the feeling of dopamine, which is pretty absurd. And this all goes back to the night of his parents' murder, as he emotionally cannot move from that spot, as it's the only thing that's fueling him to try to be a better or be a crazier Batman each day, as he's constantly trying to look forward to a way to stop someone else from having that Bruce Wayne moment. Lastly, we have to talk about the fact that he's kind of making the crime worse in Gotham. As prior to him putting on the bat suit, there were barely any threats in Gotham besides mobsters and gangsters, but after Batman, a whole bunch of lunatics and psychopaths in costumes started popping out of anywhere, with Joker literally doing what he does just so he can directly oppose Batman and make this almost a cat and mouse type of game. Plus, I think him as Bruce Wayne could do way more for the city than him as Batman. As a billionaire, being able to fund basically everything, whether it's police, reform, or even the mental institutes they have there, I'm pretty sure he could do way more than Batman ever could. Anyways, y'all, I know this is a shorter video and I usually do longer ones, but like, man, life been kicking a nigga ass, bro. You know, school and a whole bunch of other stuff going on. But I'm gonna still post more, and I think I'm gonna have a video coming out in the next 10 days at the very least. Anyways, y'all, I hope y'all have a great day. God's gave me a great one, and see y'all in the next one.
She keep asking questions like Family Feud. I can't take it. Shorty bad, I can't have no one basic. Treat the stress like a wood, I'm gon' face it. When the guys at the spot is complacent, paid the bond, now I feel like an agent. 00, not a villain, but don't call me hero. Keep my ear to the streets like I'm Jiro. Hold his ass with a left like a G.